Firearm Freedom YouTube live stream. It has definitely been a minute since I've been doing a YouTube live stream. Busy past couple of weeks. I've said this before on Instagram, but I figure I might as well say it here on YouTube for these live streams. Guys, live streams are a whole other animal compared to regular scheduled content. Regular edited videos here on YouTube and all the other content that's over on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, stuff like that. Live streams are a lot more difficult simply because they have to be live. So if it is incredibly busy for me, like 1 week or another week or something like that, it's a lot easier for me to, not easy, but it is possible for me to make and schedule content ahead of time for when I'm not busy and be able to post it. But with live streams, it throws a little bit of a wrench into things to have to do them live just because I have to allot an hour of my time to do them, and sometimes that can be a little bit difficult. But we are finally back to the standard grind of Sunday evenings at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I hope all of you have been well. I want to try to move, just get a little bit more lighting in there. As always, let me know if you guys can hear me, if I'm sounding all right, audio sounding good. For those of you that are tuning in to watch this after it has already been live, generally you can skip to like the 5 or 10 minute mark for us to really get into the meat of the live stream. The first couple of minutes are just simply allowing everybody to get in and everything like that. We are going to be talking today about the executive actions that happened last week with Biden and gun control. And what a wild week it has been. We're going to talk about my thoughts on that. Really, I'm preaching to the choir at this point, I hope, but we're going to talk about it a little bit. It has been an awesome past few weeks, getting a lot of stuff done as far as content and filming for the channel. If you guys have not seen any of the full standard edited videos that I've dropped over the past 2 weeks, definitely check those out. I've been, I don't know why, getting real into the AKs lately here on the channel. So if you guys are into AKs, have a few videos of those and just other random things. Sam, I will try to keep my heart rate down in this live, but there is no promise, my friends. There is no promise. In the YouTube live streams, I try to keep it a little bit more calm, a little bit more professional. If you want the profane and just crazy, that's going to be Instagram live streams. And if you want the straight, like just needs to be committed into a mental institution, that's going to be the Discord. I love you, my Discord family, even though you are all so crazy. That's what makes you perfect. If you guys want to check out the Discord server, we are almost at 100 members. I am not sure how long we are going to keep that Discord link public and available. Right now, you can just simply click the link after these live streams end. The Discord link is right below there. You guys can click that, head over to it, and see what makes the FF Discord so insanely awesome. And if we start getting an overflow of people in that Discord, if things start getting a little bit too crazy, then we might actually make that link private, and you might be able to only get that link if it's shared to you rather than it just being available underneath the description of these live streams. I'm allowing it to be public for the moment because we're trying to really grow the Discord, get a lot of conversation in there, and the Discord has definitely transformed quite a bit over the past few months that we've had it. As always, the links down there really do help me out, checking out the Firearm Freedom merch store, checking out the Firearm Freedom Subscribe Star account. All of that really helps if you're looking to support the channel. YouTube constantly these days is shadow banning my YouTube channel, my Instagram. Obviously, Instagram's not YouTube, but Instagram is shadow banning my Instagram. Left and right, I have people messaging me, hey, I can't even find your channel if I type it in the search bar. Hey, I've been unsubscribed. Hey, I'm not getting notifications for when your videos drop. Guys, there is nothing that I can do about that. I do apologize. I wish that wasn't the case, but in this day and age, you really don't have a choice. Social media is really just going to clamp down, and once they have you in their radar, it is very difficult to get out. So I really do appreciate you guys that are really hardcore supporters of the channel and watch a lot of these live streams. It really does make the difference for at least trying to defeat the algorithms, and it really does motivate me to make this content. Last week, I want to say, I don't know, maybe Tuesday or Wednesday, we started hearing rumblings that Biden or the Biden administration was going to come out and release what they're going to do as far as executive actions against guns. We've been hearing rumblings of this, every now and again in media, especially recently with the events that transpired in Colorado. We have started to hear the gun control push a little bit more. Brian, what is up, my friend? So with hearing that gun control push, that's going to do obviously a couple of different things. That's going to increase the volume of buying generally. That is going to increase the inflow of just people in gun stores, whether they're buying or not, or whatever. Austin, what is up, my friend? It's really not good. I think we have been talking about this now on this channel and these live streams, and I'm sure you've seen it on the internet in multiple places, what is going to happen with the Biden administration. I heard a lot of people come forward and tell me, hey, don't worry, nothing's going to pass, either the Senate or it'll have a hard time passing the House, or they won't be able to do this legislatively or that legislatively. And I don't disagree with you. I don't think you're wrong there. I think it is going to have a little bit of a hard time doing something legislatively. But we've been saying for a while now that they're going to try to circumvent that a little bit by utilizing the ATF. And we've seen that within this past week. What do I mean by that? Well, in my opinion, I personally believe that instead of going through the standard legislative process, Biden is going to utilize the ATF to simply just re-clarify something and cause it to be quote-unquote illegal unless it falls under the NFA according to the ATF. That can be done, in my opinion, quite a bit easier than a lot of other people think it can be done. And I think the actions have been made clear over the past week that is what they're going to try to do. Couple of points to note. What happened over the past week was not an executive order, right? It wasn't an executive order for gun control. It was an executive action. There is, although they sound the same, there is a large difference between an executive order and an executive action. At this point in time, really nothing has changed immediately as of right now. We have seen a little bit behind the veil on what the plan is going to be and probably what is going to turn into executive orders or is going to turn into more far-reaching legislative action. That may very well be the case in a few months. But as of right now, it is just simply executive action. Executive action, to sum it up, I'm not, a political genius or anything like that or an attorney, but an executive action is just simply like a firm, I want you to do this, even though it carries no legal weight. I'm telling you firmly to do this, essentially. An executive order is going to be essentially law unless it is declared unconstitutional by a court. So there are some slight differences there. And that is something to be aware of, because a lot of people are coming into the gun shop that I work at and are like, hey, what about these new laws that have passed? First and foremost, no new laws have passed. That's something that a lot of people don't seem to understand. They immediately think that a new law has passed, and that could not be further from the truth. There was no new law or anything like that. I want to just briefly, there's only really four main parts to what happened. You'll have to please excuse me. I'm looking down because I have my notes here directly from the White House website on the executive actions that Biden put forth. The first is a call to the Justice Department. Within 30 days, they will issue a proposed rule to help stop the proliferation of ghost guns. The Justice Department, it goes to say underneath, will issue a proposed rule to help stop the proliferation of these firearms. It does not go in any further on what they will do to stop the proliferation of these firearms. We're going to touch on all these individually here after I read you through them, but they have 30 days to do that. The Justice Department, this is the next one, within 60 days will issue a proposed rule to make clear when a device marketed as a stabilizing brace effectively turns a pistol into a short-barreled rifle subject to the requirements of the National Firearms Act. They go on to talk about Colorado and the tragedy, that happened there, and an arm brace which can make a firearm more stable and accurate while still being concealable. Nice. Gotta love that. Okay, next one. The Justice Department within 60 days will publish a model red flag legislation for states. They go on to say essentially that they are not going to legislatively right now push through a federal red flag law, but they're simply going to incentivize individual states on doing a red flag law. Not only are they going to incentivize it via some money, they are also going to lay out a blueprint on exactly what their red flag laws should look like. And of course, I would imagine those are going to be similar to how a federal red flag law would look. And on top of that, it mentions that they are going to push for a federal red flag law in the future. We don't know exactly when, or anything like that, but they are going to push for it in the future. So we will see. And sorry, guys. Okay. So the final portion of that is going to. Let me get back to my notes here. Gotta love phones. Okay. I love when I have something saved in a note and then it just pops it right down to the bottom and you can't get back to it. Okay. The final one is that the president is nominating David Shipman, good old Shipman, to serve as director of the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. So that we're going to definitely talk on in a little bit. The first one, the first big one is ghost guns, right? The Justice Department now has 30 days to look at ghost guns. First problem with this, ghost gun, okay? We're talking about yet another term here that has been completely fabricated by media, right? So it's a totally fabricated term. It holds no really real description. It's just this scary term that people don't really understand what it means, right? Some people assume it means 3D printed guns. Others assume it means 80% frames, and everything like that. It has always been legal within the United States to manufacture your own firearms, provided you are following all NFA guidelines. So, if I wanted to go to Home Depot and buy materials and manufacture a firearm, let's say it's a slam fire shotguns, right? If I wanted to make a slam fire shotgun out of a little bit of piping, I could do that 100% legally if the overall length and the barrel length requirements were met by the NFA. No problems, no issues, no nothing, right? I could do that with ease. So that has always been a thing, and that will always be a thing unless they change these laws. In recent years, more companies started manufacturing as close to a fully manufactured firearm as they could get without it being actually a firearm. Thus, enter into the chat 80% frames, 80% receivers, and 80% suppressors. There's a bunch of different things that have taken place. These are simply paperweights. It may look similar to a gun. It is not a gun, and that is very important to understand. There is still significant milling out required in order to get that as a firing setup, okay? So when you look at a polymer 80 Glock frame or something like that, a lot of people look at that and be like, man, that looks just like a Glock frame. But it is not. It is legally and really is a paperweight until the milling is done. Apparently, we seem to be pulling statistics out of our ass lately on these guns being used in so many crimes out there in the world. So many crimes. Yet, I have seen very competent people that are in the firearms world jack up these 80% frames beyond the point of them ever being safe or usable firearms. But I'm sure Joe Schmo, drug addict in the street, is able to utilize power tools and mill out these setups so that they work effectively. And quite frankly, even if they are able to do this, it doesn't really matter because they're still going to break the law. And if we haven't seen it so far, the drug laws that are supposed to be stopping him from being a drug addict in the street are obviously not working too well. And honestly, even if they don't have those 80% frames available, one could say that they would probably just steal the gun or find a gun illegally and just use it regardless. But for whatever reason, sure, let's go with the fact that these are so used in modern day crimes and that criminals are ordering 80% receivers and successfully milling them out to actual working firearms. And on top of that, just remember that a criminal that is, quote, a prohibited person by law from owning firearms, that is already illegal to begin with. A criminal not legally able to own firearms cannot manufacture their own firearms and cannot manufacture an 80% frame or receiver. So if your laws work so well, why exactly are they not working to stop those criminals from manufacturing these setups? Furthermore, if they ban quote-unquote ghost guns or 80% frames, they really don't name what these ghost guns are. What about 70% frames or 60% frames or just a block of aluminum and milling them out? They make no mention of this at all. Furthermore, for those of you guys that aren't aware, according to their own laws, you could not have an item on the 4473. So in other words, you could not do a background check legally on an item and add that item if it is modernly made. So say you bought a P80 right now and it did not have a serial number on it because it's not a firearm. You could not just simply make up a category and put it on a 4473 and not have a serial number. It is against their own federal law to do that. So apparently they're also just going to change their own unconstitutional federal laws. So solid. They have absolutely no idea what they're talking about, even a little bit. So, mint. Furthermore, we go down. The Justice Department now has 60 days to issue a proposed ruling on a stabilizing brace and what stabilizing brace turns a pistol into a short-barreled rifle. This debate, quite frankly, is getting so old, it's not even funny, because it is just bullshit all the way around. When it comes to pistol braces, quite frankly, the ATF even doesn't know what they're talking about, even a little bit. And everything is so gray by the ATF's own fault that, this is never going to get better. The pistol stabilizing brace annoys me so much to begin with because, one, the NFA as a whole should not exist, nor should it have ever existed in the first place. But aside from the NFA not even really needing to or should have ever existing, the fact that one piece of plastic is totally too dangerous to have, but another piece of plastic and the gun is the exact same, somehow makes it so much less deadlier, or having no piece of plastic at all somehow changes the mechanism of the firearm itself, is so stupid it is not even funny. I I cannot. I don't know. Oh man, trying to keep the heart rate down. Red flag laws. Nothing new here. It's an unconstitutional way to take firearms without any sort of due process. Take the guns first, due process later. Remember that one. Don't forget it. They talk about a couple of other things of firearms trafficking and violence interventions and all this other bullshit. And then, of course, we get good old David Chipman, who loves to talk about how horrible mass shootings are in the country, and how much innocent lives are lost. But he seems to forget about all these incidences by the ATF, like Waco and Ruby Ridge, where unarmed civilians were absolutely murdered, gassed, and burned alive. It's a little interesting. But let's go with that. What should really, really make all of you nervous is that if he becomes the head of the ATF, he is adamantly anti-gun and will help get this passed through with flying colors. So yeah. That's what happened last week. Did it surprise anybody? I hope not, because this is something that everyone should have seen coming from a mile away. Right? From a mile away. We've been talking about this for months now. I have been talking about how they are going to go after firearms utilizing the ATF, because that is their one way to be able to kind of go at it with speed and circumvent the bullshit, and utilize this unconstitutional agency to pass their gun control agenda. What has been, how should I phrase this? I'm really going to tread carefully here. I'm really going to tread carefully and try to keep my heart rate down, because it has been a frustrating week, to say the least. I get to see something that a lot of people don't see in the gun community, right? A lot of people are here on social media in the gun community, right? Maybe they have their own friend circles, and those friend circles hang out. They shoot guns, they go to gun shops, check out deals and things like that. But a bulk of it, and this is not a term to be derogatory, but a bulk of it is in their own echo chambers here on social media, right? They'll see memes shared around, they agree with them, it's cool, rah, rah, gun community, badass, no comply, blah, 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 blah. That's what they generally see, okay? Working in the gun industry, working at a gun shop, a retail gun shop environment, you're going to see a different type, right, of the gun community. You're going to see it all. You're going to see all aspects of it, because you're kind of on the front lines of the gun community. You yourself, a lot of the time, are going to be the person introducing whoever is at that gun shop into the gun community. You're kind of like the greeter at the door. Hey, welcome to the gun community. And on top of that, you are taking phone calls all day long. You are getting questions all day long, and you're really able to hear kind of what is the general consensus and the general group think going on. And I can tell you guys, there's a definitely a little bit of a disconnect from what I see on social media to what I see in person. What I see in social media is a lot of phenomenal energy. A lot of energy directed towards, hey, do not comply, hardcore, let's go. This is what you should do. This is going to be the solution. No one's going to comply. Everyone's going to be hardcore. Everybody stands for freedom. We're all patriots in this community. And the disconnect is when I talk to a lot of those people, and I love it. I love hearing that. But they really have a hard time assuming that anyone